I think that what I'm saying is I think that these days, instead of thinking, Jonathan, historically in 20-year and 40-year majorities, it's gonna be much faster.
And that's again, I think that's the danger for Republicans right now.
Yeah.
That the pendulum swung one way, and Democrats won a bunch of seats that were marginal seats, and they overreach. Now the pendulum has swung back. Republicans have won a bunch of seats that are marginal seats, and if they don't deliver, those seats will go right back in 2 years.
All right, we're going to talk about what the Republicans are supposed to do. I mean, what would be an overreach or an underreach, or what is it they were elected to do? What did this election actually mean for them? And more with our Gang of Four. It's 10:42 on News Talk 550 KTSA. It's Gang of Four for a Friday morning, kicking around the big stories of the week. It's the post-election edition. And on Gang of Four today, Cary, Clack, and Jonathan Gurwitz from the Express News. JT Street from Fox San Antonio. You're voting in the JR poll at 599-5555. Should Rick Perry run for president in 2012? You can also get that question on my Facebook page or on the Jack Riccardi page at ktsa.com, where the JR poll is powered by Womack Chevrolet. So, you were saying, Jonathan, and it's conventional wisdom, that the Democrats, in winning the Congress back in 2006 under Bush and then sweeping to victory with Barack Obama in 2008, misinterpreted those results as a sweeping mandate to go to the left and pursue this very statist agenda, which in turn led to the Tea Party movement, which in turn led to those angry town hall meetings of the summer of 2009, and now this debacle for them in 2010. Just 4 years. What is the Republican mandate, if there is one?
Look, the number one issue, the issue is the economy, jobs, spending. The growth of government, the national debt, the deficit, what kind of nation we're going to be leaving to our children and grandchildren. And Republicans need to focus with laser precision on those issues. Now, they can get engaged in a futile effort to try to repeal Obamacare. Futile because whatever they do, they won't be able to get it past the Senate, and even if they did get it past the Senate, the president would veto it, and they don't have the votes to override a veto. So they can take some, symbolic measures, and they can maybe eat away around the edges. Obama signaled the other day that there are some changes that he'd be willing to make. So there are some things that they can do on that. If they waste the next 18 months or 2 years trying to repeal Obamacare unsuccessfully, people are going to say, what did we entrust you with?
Do you think they got the message that this is not about the quote-unquote culture war? This is not, we need to do something about Roe v. Wade. Yeah. This is not, because that was what tripped them up after the '94 election.
I'm not certain. I'm not certain, especially, I thought Boehner's message Tuesday night was pretty good. I thought he was pretty, for a victor, he was pretty contrite. I thought he got the message. McConnell, of course, the Senate minority leader, is not riding the wave the way Boehner is, and he was smug. And so I'm not sure that McConnell got the message, but it's the economy, it's spending, it's the reach of government. Spending is power, and that's what Republicans need to show. They can make a difference. They can cut spending. They can eliminate programs. They can address entitlement reform. They can limit the scope of government. That's what it needs to be about.
In 2012, the Democrats will actually have an even more vulnerable situation than they had in 2010. They will actually have more Senate seats up for re-election than the Republicans, including a number of fairly weak members of the Senate who were elected in 2006, and these two who were elected in special elections, West Virginia and New York, this week. They've got to run again in 2012 for a full term. So could 2012 be a second, annus horribilis for the Democrats, Cary?
I think so much depends upon what Jonathan just said about how the Republicans react. We've had 3 change elections in a row, but neither one was tethered as much to a belief in the policies or the direction that the winning party won. So so much. John Boehner is going to be so, because McConnell can kind of afford to be the way he is because he's still in the minority. But to me, so much does ride upon Boehner, and how much he and the president are willing to compromise. But I mean, if the Republicans do what Jonathan wants them to do, what you would want them to do, what they need to do, then yeah, it could be another.
I differ with you a little bit, Jonathan, and I'll say I think you summed up the sort of economy part of it fine. In essence, what I would say is just they need to go roll up their sleeves the way Republican governors in recent years have been doing. They need to take a green visor. Let's find all the spending we can cut. Let's reduce the functions of government, because if you just reduce spending, that spending can be put back later. I will say, though, with Obamacare, I think there's a very clear desire by these voters. I mean, look at these exit polls. You've at least got to defund it, and you've got to at least be sympathetic to the court challenges, the states that are fighting Obamacare. They can't disengage from that.
I agree. I mean, there are steps that they can take to slow down Obamacare.
You were saying just don't waste all your capital on it.
There's a move to repeal the entire measure. Okay. That's a futile effort. Now,
isn't it worth having the vote, though, just to get everybody on record?
Right.
Make those senators vote for it again.
Like I said, you can take the symbolic vote,
yeah.
You're on the record, then let it go, get down to what you can actually do.
Okay.
Or wouldn't it be better, though, if instead of taking these symbolic and, once again, diversionary and divisive tactics, to, instead of doing that, come to a consensus and actually find the 2 or 3 things or 5 or 6 things about Obamacare that Republicans really can't stand and temper those?
They tried that. They were told by this president that he had to have his whole plan. They went to him, JT, and said, why don't we just fix the things that everybody agrees are broken?
Now's their chance to do it when they have more clout. Before they didn't have as much clout.
But you can't do that while there's this massive bill and scheme in place. Yes, the time to fix the parts that were broken, to actually get subsidized insurance for people that really can't get it, that was at the beginning of this process. Now you've got something in the way of that. You have this massive takeover that's in the way of that.
And
I don't think they should, I disagree, I don't think they should seek a compromise with him, because he's already demonstrated he doesn't compromise.
And yet, if they go with this symbolic measure, as we've already heard Jonathan say, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be futile. It's just going to be killing
time. These people will vote for it again, and then they'll be on the record again. And they will be up for re-election in 2012.
But that's the starting point for the negotiations. You get it on record. We want to repeal it. That's our position. That goes nowhere. Then you get down to brass tacks.
And it's not divisive. I don't know if you've looked at the polls lately, but if there's one thing Americans agree on, they don't like this plan. It's widely opposed, and it was widely opposed in the exit polls on Tuesday night. This isn't a divisive issue. They went way too far with this thing.
It's going to be a divisive issue in Congress, though. The Democrats that are still there are more extreme. There are less blue dog Democrats. If you come through and try and repeal health care, they're not going to like it. It's going to be divisive to them.
What is the virtue of unity in Congress? Why do you want unity in Congress? Why don't you want people to go head to head and fight for the things they believe in?
I've got this crazy idea, and maybe I'm naive and maybe I'm an idealist, but I would love government to accomplish something that makes our lives better in the next 2 years.
Oh my God, they're doing that 24 hours a day. I'd rather they were held at a stalemate. Yeah. I'd like the legislative process to slow down, not speed up.
Yeah,
but that's not what. See, I think then in that case you misread the mandate. The mandate, if you listen to people when they were going out of the polls, a lot of them said, "I'm voting for a different party because I'm not better off today than I was 2 years ago. I want a government that will make me better off than I was."
I don't think that's what they said.
That is what they said.
They said they want the government to leave them alone.
They said no. They said they want to be better off in 2 years than they are now. There was a lady.
People who believe that the government can make them better off just vote Democratic.
No, the American people have developed an incredibly short hook. They're like a network executive at Fox. If their show doesn't work in 2 episodes, they yank it. If the Congress doesn't work in 2 years, they pull it. If the economy doesn't get better in 2 years, there's going to be another change.
I don't think a majority of the American people are looking to the government to make their lives better.
Then why do they vote at all? Then why vote at all? If you don't think...
That's the only thing government can do is give you stuff?
If you don't want the government to do anything, if you don't want the government,
I want them to do as little as possible. I want them to do the basic
But
core
effectively, and I
functions
think maybe that's
and
what Jay-
effectively.
I think
But I
that's what-
don't
I
want.
think that's what
I
JT
don't
said.
want them.
saying.
I don't
Yeah.
want the banning the Happy Meal toy. I don't want them legislating my doctor relationship. I don't want them declaring days honoring the winning WNBA team. I don't want them passing laws naming post offices. I would rather they were at each other's
But you want
throats.
what you want them looking like, say, for the stereo,
Provide for the
salary, things
national
like that.
defense,
Yeah.
and
I think all
and that's
JT
about
is
it.
saying that I don't think it's a contradiction to be saying you want less government, but the government that you have, you
But
want to be
JT was
effective.
I think was suggesting. I'm not picking on you, JT, but I
No,
mean
no.
you're representing the
Take it
point of view that says, boy, I wish they could get along and work together. And no, I don't want that. I think there's way too much of that now.
I think you think there's too much
Yes.
compromise? You
Yes.
think there's too much
I
working
think
together
the two
in the
political
Senate and
parties
the House?
they're like a two-headed monster.
I think what I would like to see, and I would like to see a government that its number one priority is its people. That's not what we have right now. We have a government whose number one priority is still, and this is after the big election and our kumbaya moment, and we are the people we were looking for in 2008, and we're going to be more open, we're going to be more transparent, we're going to avoid succumbing to
But if
special
all of that
interests.
was a sham, why would you fall for it again?
I'm not saying that we're going to fall for it again. I'm saying that if we as the American people don't see our elected officials doing something, they're going to get the hook again in 2012.
Okay, we'll just agree to disagree. Your belief is that they should be like a productive assembly line of legislation. My view is that just leads to a loss of freedom.
By legislation, I don't mean more rules. And I don't.
What's the result of if they work
Not
together,
always.
that's what
If
got.
you repeal the health care bill, that's still legislation,
They're
Jack.
going to kill me if we don't take this break.
Okay,
We'll
go
come
ahead.
back with more Gang of Four after the news on KTSA. What's going on?
Margarita.
Are you mixing drinks in there or what? What is that noise? Oh. I like the way we do all the vacuuming, and a couple of days ago we were cutting the grass right outside this window. What do they have, like a show schedule? Oh, let's wait. Yeah, let's wait till the shows are on. Like, I don't know, at the TV station, JT, do they like do plaster work and painting around the news set during the 9 o'clock news?
No,
or
with
what?
us it is a blender.
Yeah. I'm telling you. Nothing gets done here when we're not on the air, but boy, you turn on a mic and all of a sudden every power tool in the building is on. A new study says that if you want to have a safe neighborhood and keep your home safe, deter crime, breaking and entering, big trees deter crime, says a study, interestingly enough, done by the U.S. Forest Service. Large street trees and large trees on private property can reduce crime, says the study, by signaling to a potential criminal that a neighborhood is better cared for, and therefore a criminal is more likely to be caught. Are they thinking that much before they go steal your television? They're like analyzing the demographics of the neighborhood? Yeah, I guess, if you live in a place where they don't... So, small yard trees might actually increase crime by blocking views and providing cover for criminal... Wouldn't big trees do that too? Plus, there's shade. They can wait in the shade to, wait for you to come home and carjack you. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the trees would be a good thing for the criminals. The study looked at 2,800 single-family homes in Oregon, comparing the number of crimes they experienced compared to, and then correlated that with the number and size of trees on their lots and surrounding areas. I think we should maybe cure cancer before we worry about these studies. That's what I think. All right, we...